Going down, deep cut. Is there a Splatfest next weekend? It's really weird, because this is... I don't know if this is the first time in the game, but this is the first time in a while that we've had a Splatfest back-to-back. Usually it alternates where it's like a Splatfest, then there's like a big run, or they take a month off, or any number of things. But no, these are just two... Because we had one... Was it the ice cream one? And now we've got Money, Fame, and Love. I don't actually know which one I'm gonna do. What's the, Oh, look at that piece of gear. Still have not played the new map. It's been like 2 months. And I'm gonna guess the next update's gonna be in September. So I don't think because we just got, like last week, we got a smaller update. Money, fame, or love. I know the cheap answer is love. Right? Like that's the bog standard, like go for love, blah blah blah. But I also feel like that's kind of the boring answer. I don't know. I'll think on it. So, yeah. So tonight, we do actually have some news. You know, usually June and July, after E3 or Summer Games Fest, usually it's dry season, where you get, like, very little news. And last week, we literally had fucking nothing. We had no news whatsoever. This week, we have 3 stories, all of them Nintendo-related. Yep, I made a cavalcade of Nintendo news this week. So we've got 3 fun little Nintendo stories. I mean, I know one of them for a fact people are fucking sick of. Right? The new Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch Plus Ultra, Mega, Extreme, Super Switch, whatever the fucking stupid names it's gonna end up being. I know people fucking hate it, but we're gonna talk about it, of course, because, yeah, we kind of have to. And then we've got some Switch sales figures, because Nintendo did release their sales figures for the second quarter of the year. And then finally, they announced a Pokemon showcase. So, I think I even mentioned last week that they were probably going to announce a Pokemon showcase. I think at the very end of the stream last week, I mentioned it. And yeah, turns out I was correct. Not that, like, I was the only one saying it, obviously. But yeah, so we'll be talking about that. We have a rather short WIBE. And then, finally, after over 2 weeks, my Pyra and Mythra's Amiibo showed up. One of the last Amiibos. The only Smash Bros. Amiibo left after them is Sora. And whether Sora actually gets an Amiibo or not, who knows? Because I do think it's totally possible that Sora doesn't. There's also a rumor of an Amiibo restock, which I'm only interested in because I think the restock includes Famicom Rob, and I don't actually have... That is technically the only Smash Bros. Amiibo I'm missing. Because I don't even remember if it originally came out in North America. I want to say originally it was Japan exclusive. I don't know if it might have come out at a later date, but supposedly there's a massive Amiibo restock coming. So I might actually get myself a Famicom Rob. If only I could ever get Box Boy. That's one of the only Amiibos to never release in North America. And I really thought when they had announced that new Box Boy game, they were finally going to do it. The Box Boy and Box Girl, which was a fine game. I had fun with it. I've played all the Box Boy games, and yeah, they're all pretty decent, actually. Yeah, I would definitely recommend, I don't know, probably the third 3DS one. Not that you can buy it anymore, so I guess pick up the Switch one. But they're all actually pretty decent. But no, I did like the third one, because the third one introduced a bunch of interesting mechanics. So yeah, it's gonna be a pretty simple night. Knowing me, we'll still go for like an hour and a half. And like In Chat is now a Friday show. I kind of mentioned this at the end of the week last week, but just because of how my schedule lines up now, I think it's easiest to do In Chat on Fridays now. That's just kind of how everything lines up. So it looks like that's where we're going with it for now. Oh shit, I didn't put a story on here. Ooh, there's a story I forgot to put on the thing. Devolver Digital. I guess we'll talk about it with the Pokemon stuff. Alright, so let's start off with the Nintendo Switch 2. Or the Super Switch, or God forbid, the new Nintendo Switch. I would fucking hate if they called it the new Nintendo Switch. I would honestly prefer them just to call it something brand new. So, the rumor came... So this came out, the rumor... This is not a leak, this is a rumor. The rumor come out, Nintendo is working on a Nintendo Switch 2. Obviously. The big part is that developer kits are in hands of trusted third-party developers. So, right, this is... You know, does Microsoft / Activision Blizzard now, because, you know, Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, do they have one of the new Switch developer kits? So that way they can put Call of Duty on the next Nintendo console. Because Nintendo signed a deal with Microsoft to get 10 years of Call of Duty. So Activision Blizzard / Microsoft may be one of these studios. But I'm sure there are plenty of others, you know, your Squeenixes, your Capcoms, your Segas, plenty of other developers I'm sure have these kits as well. Maybe even your Devolvers, you know. So, this does seem to be, right, it's a successor to the Switch. So it's going to have the sort of portable dock mode that the Switch currently has that everybody likes. I don't know anybody who actually dislikes the Switch gimmick. Most complaints against the Switch nowadays seem to be with its power, and people who discredit the Switch because it's not as powerful as an Xbox Series X are just fucking bullshitters. Like, yeah, a 7-year-old console, of course it's not as powerful as the Xbox Series X. Admittedly, even I've started to see the age of the Switch. Specifically last year we talked about it, and we all knew this was coming, either a new Switch or an update. Again, I still do believe the rumor that the Switch OLED was supposed to have 4K compatibility, and then at the last minute they cut it. I still thoroughly believe that, because the other 90% of all those rumors were correct. They just got that one thing wrong, so it would not surprise me at all if Nintendo changed it. I do think the OLED was supposed to be more of a mid-cycle refresh that just ended up not happening for any myriad of reasons. And I mean, it still kind of did. Again, the OLED is a pretty nice system. But so it's going to have your portable mode, it's going to have your console mode, it's going to have a cartridge slot again, which I know some people hate cartridge slots. I don't fucking care. You know, I'm fine with this ain't fucking the N64 any days. We don't have 16 bits, 32 bits, 64 bits, 8-bit, 4-bit, 2-bit, 1-bit. The wrist game. Right, that era is far over. Cartridges work fine on the Switch. Yeah, storage space is a whole thing, but you can literally get a terabyte SD card, and that works fine. And I want to say a 128 gig SD card, and I have literally I've maybe filled it up like 70%. And that's because Nintendo is really good at compressing their games. Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are maybe like 10 gigs each. That's fucking nothing. Of course, when Call of Duty comes around, normally those games are 100 gigs, so that's going to be a problem. But to be fair, that's a problem on Xbox and PlayStation and PC as well. So with it having a cartridge slot, one of the big questions has been, is the system going to have backwards compatibility? And the person who put out this rumor admits that they do not know. They do not know if this is going to have backwards compatibility. It might not. I want to say they said in their report that third-party developers are worried that it's not going to have backwards compatibility. And I do, it's interesting, because when it comes to consoles, Nintendo's not that good at backwards compatibility, right? The NES cannot play SNES, or the SNES cannot play NES games. The N64 can't play SNES games. The GameCube obviously can't play N64 games. But then they get good for a while, right? The Wii can play GameCube games. The Wii U can play Wii games. And yeah, that's basically it. But when it comes to portable systems, on the other hand, Nintendo is usually really good. The Game Boy Color could play Game Boy games, and the Game Boy Advance could also play both Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. Yeah, the Game Boy Advance had like 10 years of backwards compatibility. I know the Nintendo DS the original model in the DS Lite could play Game Boy Advance games. I cannot for the life of me remember if it could play original Game Boy games. I remember playing Pokemon on a DS, right? Like Emerald or something. So it definitely could do Game Boy Advance. I just don't remember if it could play Red or Blue. Because I don't remember if I ever actually tried to do that. But, it could, DS, and then eventually, the DSi couldn't. But that was still a long ways. And then when the 3DS came out, the 3DS could play DS games. Again, I had that one thing where for a certain period of time, you could literally play every Mario and Luigi game if you owned a 3DS. If you owned a 3DS and a Wii U, you could play every Legend of Zelda game except for Four Swords Adventures. Every other Zelda game from, the original 1990 or 1985 game to Breath of the Wild was on either the Wii U or the 3DS. It's actually kind of impressive when you think about it. But yeah, so I think it would be fucking stupid if they don't have backwards compatibility. Now, Nintendo loves to do fucking stupid shit, so it wouldn't surprise me if they do, if they don't have it. But I think they need it, because right now, we'll talk about Switch sales numbers in a second, but it's like 129 million people have a Switch. So just saying, hey, those 129 million people, all of your old Switch games no longer work on the new console. That's a terrible idea. Now, the reason they wouldn't want backwards compatibility is so that way they can sell you the same games again. Not like the Switch's entire lifespan was filled with Wii U ports. Oh, wait a fucking second. Yes, it was. We spent the entire Switch's lifespan, or at least the first half of it, porting over Wii U games, just for now us to have a new Switch that potentially might not play any of those games. I think that's a terrible idea. They definitely need to have backwards compatibility. And backwards compatibility really helps at the launch of a new system. Because again, 129 million people have bought a Switch. That's still a lot of people. In a world of 8 billion, that's a lot of people who haven't. And there are some people who will not buy a Switch, especially this late in the console's lifespan, but will buy whatever this new system is. And so having 7 years worth of games that they can play right off the bat, someone could buy, let's just call it a Switch 2. And on the Switch 2, they can play Breath of the Wild. They can play Tears of the Kingdom. They can play Mario Kart 8 again. They can play Smash Bros, the best Smash Bros game. Because you know, if Nintendo does make a new Switch, if they don't make it backwards compatible, they're just going to port Smash Bros Ultimate. They may, I don't know, maybe they'll ask Sakurai to add one more character and just call it a day. But no, they're definitely going to port over the games anyways. And of course, that's going to be like, oh, well, they'll just charge, that's them getting another $60 out of you. But I think them getting more goodwill out of having backwards compatibility is worth more than them actually charging of $60 again. And Nintendo cares a lot about goodwill. And they care about making affordable products. And I bring that up because one of the rumors with this is that the console will not have an OLED screen. The Switch OLED is a very nice screen. I don't use it all that often, but I do think it looks pretty nice. And so it would be kind of weird for this new Switch not to have an OLED screen. But the rumor claims that the reason Nintendo is not going to put an OLED in the Switch 2 is because they're trying to keep the price down. And to be fair, historically, that's how Nintendo works, right? The Game & Watch was a cheap little system that, you know, was very affordable and gave you a cute little game and a watch. The Game Boy. One of the reasons the Game Boy sold so much better than the Game Gear or the Atari Lynx was because it was affordable. By making it run on batteries, by not having a backlight, they were drastically able to bring down the price of the console. And as a result, a lot more people were able to pick one up. It's like I want to say, is it like 100 million people bought a Game Boy? It's something wild like that. I know over 100 million bought a DS. And then that continued to the Game Boy Color, which was also, again, an affordable system, but this time in color. And now, in my opinion, where they screwed up is the Game Boy Advance. By this point, backlights had gotten a lot cheaper. The Game Boy Advance definitely should have launched with a backlight. But instead, it took them another year or two. I don't exactly remember the time frame. Again, I was a wee bab back then. I mean, I had an original Game Boy Advance. But then when they launched the Game Boy Advance SP, that finally had a backlight. And the Game Boy Advance SP is far superior to the Game Boy Advance. I love the Game Boy Advance. It's the first console I truly owned, right? Because like my Game Boy, my NES was given to me by my parents. But no, the Game Boy Advance, that was mine. Got it for my birthday. But yeah, it didn't have a backlight. And then the SP did. And the SP was just better. And then since then, yeah, Nintendo figured it out. But, yeah, Nintendo likes to keep the cost down. A big sticking point for the Switch was that it needed to launch at $300. Nintendo has admitted that part of them trying to get the price down was so that way they could launch it at the affordable point of $300. Because one of people's biggest problem with the PS5 is the price point at over $500. That's why I give a lot of praise to the Xbox Series S. Even though I might be getting one, because Starfield, because it's a much cheaper alternative to an Xbox Series X. It plays all the same games, has that same quality, but at a much more affordable price point. And people really care about that. So the reason Nintendo may not be doing an OLED screen is because they want to keep it at an affordable price. I know the Switch OLED only puts up the console like 50 more bucks, but for some people that 50 bucks is make or break. And especially if they're going to try to hit that $300 price point, which honestly, I would not be surprised if it goes up to $400. Again, with how everything is kind of trending. But I assume Nintendo's trying to keep it down. I get why people are disappointed over it potentially not having an OLED screen. They could do two variants, you know, they could do a standard, cheaper model, kind of like the Switch Lite, which there's another great thing. Things like the 2DS did insanely well, if I remember correctly. Because, you know, they cut out the 3D gimmick and made a really affordable system. that played, you know, a bunch of great Pokemon games. And it was at a very affordable price point. Near, probably middle, definitely sometime after the new Nintendo 3DS launched. You were able to get a 2DS for like $100. They were actually kind of cheap for a while. And it came with a game, I want to say it came with like, it was $100 for a 2DS and Ocarina of Time. That's not a bad deal at all. So I kind of get it, why Nintendo's trying to keep the price down. Is it the best move? Again, it depends on the audience you're going for. Nintendo makes toys that court the casual market. Has that backfired on them? Totally. Look at our Fisher-Price gaming pad. But the Switch is a very good system. And as long as they keep a similar design philosophy, and, you know, they keep pumping out great games for it, I think it's going to do well. Will the Switch itself pass the 1.5 million, or 150 million sale? It's possible, you know. But I think, because that's what Nintendo's hoping, is that, right, the Switch is going to hit that marker. And if they put the new system out, then they can, in theory, start discounting the Switch itself. Because, like, one of the reasons the PS2 is the best-selling system of all time is, well, one, the DVD player, and two, they didn't stop making PS2s until, like, 2017. Okay, that might be a little late, but it's something like that. Like, the PS2 was still in production during the PS4's lifetime. Because, yeah, people really liked the PS2. It kept, especially, I want to say in Brazil, it was like, it sold more as like a DVD player than anything else. Like, people would buy PS2s just for the DVD player aspect. Because it was cheaper than buying an actual DVD player. So, you know, they might hit it. But so the final part of this rumor that I remember anywhere, or that I wrote down, was the launch date. It's so the last rumor had the launch date at the first half of the year. So, right, the first, like, probably, you know, around that March to May window. This new rumor, on the other hand, puts the launch date at the second half of the year. So, you know, traditionally, consoles tend to launch in that August to November window. Like, the Switch OLED, for example, came out in October. The Switch Lite, I want to say, came out in August. Right, the Xbox Series X and the PS5, I want to say both came out in November. Usually before that Christmas holiday season. So it looks, and the Switch is actually the exception to that rule. Like, every other Nintendo console I think of comes out in that window. Maybe I can't remember when the 3DS came out. That's kind of the one thing I cannot think of. It might have come out in that window. I just don't remember. But so that seemed right. It launching in that more traditional before the holiday season window. I want to say part of the rumor is that it says that Nintendo wants to make a bunch of these things, so that way they don't have supply issues that, you know, we're still kind of seeing with the PS5. I don't know. I went to Best Buy earlier today, and they had a bunch of PS5s. So I do think the PS5 supply issue has kind of waned. At least that's my guess. It definitely, it's gotten better. To be fair, they also have a bunch of Legend of Zelda OLEDs. They have like 4 of them, so yeah. But I could see them originally wanting to release in like May, and then deciding to delay until the fall in order to make more units. I could see that being something they've decided to do, and I definitely do think that's a good move. Because, again, I usually have pretty good luck when it comes to getting these things, but I know not everybody does. But I am definitely going to start saving up now. Or probably once I get whatever Xbox I get for Starfield. Because I do really want to play Starfield. And yes, Starfield is enough to convince me to get an Xbox. Ooh. So, yeah. I guess once I get that, and I do have money saved up for that in November. But once I do, I'll then turn around and start saving for a Switch. Start putting away money, Switch 2, and yeah. And by this time next year, I should have enough. Alright, so that's the Switch 2. This is not the last rumor we're going to hear about this thing. We are probably going to hear rumors about it until it officially gets revealed. And I'm going to guess March. If they're pushing for, like, November, October release date, I'd say push it 6 months before that. That puts you around March to May. I don't think they'd wait as long as E3. Would they do it in a Nintendo Direct? Maybe. I don't know. The Switch wasn't revealed in a Nintendo Direct. The Lite in the OLED weren't. Those were just random YouTube videos. The OLED might have been a tweet, actually. I kind of don't remember. But I wouldn't be surprised. Alright, so let's move on to sales figures. So Nintendo held one of their investors' meetings, and during that we found out about Tears of the Kingdom sales numbers. So the last we had heard about it, it was selling, like, in, like, its opening, like, week. It had sold, like, it was, like, 3 million units. It was one of the fastest-selling Switch games. Now, a few months out, so we're coming up on 3 months. Right? May, June, July, now we're in August. So we're coming up on 3 months. And the Tears of the Kingdom has currently sold 18.5 million units. Just to put that into perspective, that makes it the 9th best-selling Switch game of all time. In just 3 months. Well, technically less than that. Breath of the Wild, on the other hand, in its entire 6-year run, over 6 years, I guess, has sold 30 million units. So basically, in 3 months, Tears of the Kingdom sold what took Breath of the Wild probably at least 2-3 years. I don't know. I know Breath of the Wild's been sitting at 30 million for a while now. So, yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is probably going to catch up, if not surpass Breath of the Wild, which I want to say is like the 3rd or 4th best-selling Switch game of all time. Breath of the Wild is the 4th best-selling Switch game at 30 million units. Well, 30 million.65. So, yeah, I think Tears of the Kingdom basically at almost 2/3 of that. And that's without even a holiday season to account for. Right? Like, Christmas still has to come. It's totally going to surpass that. Will it surpass Smash Bros? Will it surpass Smash Bros at 31? Probably. Will it surpass Animal Crossing at 42? I don't know about that. And then Mario Kart's at 55. I'm actually, there was a period of time where basically 1 in every 2 Switch owners owned Mario Kart. And since they've been doing the DLC, I'm surprised that number hasn't gone up. Because, like, I know at the start the DLC was kind of underwhelming. But since then, the DLC has been doing... Right, people have been very positive about the DLC in the last few waves. So I'm kind of surprised Mario Kart isn't sitting at over 60 million. But no, currently it's at 65. Let's see. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is at 22 million, which puts it right under Sword and Shield at 25 million. I think that's going to surpass that, obviously. Again, Scarlet and Violet also had an insane opening. Like, right, I want to say it was the 2nd best opening of any Pokemon game. And yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is at number 9. New Super Mario Brothers is still at number 10, which I feel like it's been there. Maybe Ring Fit Adventure was at number 10 for a little bit. It's been there. The one that always annoys me is Super Mario Party. Super Mario Party should not be at 19 million units. That will always blow my mind. The 8th best-selling Switch game is Mario Party. That's so weird. The Pokemon ones I totally get, though. Totally get that. I'm disappointed Legends Arceus doesn't do better, but... yeah. So, on to the Switch sales themselves. The Nintendo Switch has sold 129.53 million units. That's on it, right? The PS2 sold 155 million. So we're about 25 million off, 26 million. It'll be there in no time. Oh, the DS sold 150. So just to put that into perspective, 3DS sold 75 million, the Wii sold 101 million, and the Nintendo DS sold 154 million. Now the Switch has passed over a billion, or no, is it a billion? Yeah, I think it's, I'm doing my math right? Yeah, a billion software sales. So over a billion Switch games have been purchased, which in comparison to the Wii only sold 921 million, and the Nintendo DS only sold 948 million. So the Switch software-wise has outsold the Wii U, or the Wii and the 3DS, obviously the Wii U. The Switch has sold more units than the Wii U sold software. Which is very funny to think about. The other part of this, so they put out a list of upcoming games. I don't think we got any Pikmin numbers yet. Usually they give like some preliminary Pikmin numbers. All we know is that Pikmin 4 has sold better than Pikmin's 1, 2, and 3 combined. So that's good for Pikmin. Go buy Pikmin 4. It's an amazing game. I'm hopefully going to be finishing it up on stream tomorrow. But I love it so much. It's so good. Everyone should play it. But Nintendo has a list of upcoming release games. Right, it's all the stuff we know. Detective Pikachu Returns, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, WarioWare Movement, Super Mario RPG. And then, at the end, they have Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, which is scheduled for 2024. They have a game titled Princess Peach will star as the main character in a brand new game. I don't know why it must be like kind of like, you know how Tears of the Kingdom was like a spoiler name. Maybe it's some sort of spoiler that they don't want to reveal. Why not? Why not just call it like Princess Peach game for them as like a temporary placeholder title? But nope, they're calling it Princess Peach will star as the main character in this brand new game, and that's rumored for next year. And then finally, they have Metroid Prime 4, which does not have a release year even. It does not say 2024. It just says TBA. It says temporary title. And so, yeah, we don't know. Could Metroid Prime 4 be a launch title on this new Switch 2 system? Maybe. But this does confirm that if it is, it's kind of like Breath of the Wild or Twilight Princess before it. If it is a launch game on this new system, it's going to come to both. It probably will be on Switch and whatever the new system is as well. So that's more than likely, and that makes sense. I know some people were really hoping for it this year, because it has, between the game being announced and delayed, it has been longer than that. Right, it's been, I want to say like 5 years since the delay. So it's been a long time. But yeah, it looks like next year is going to be the year. So yeah, that's kind of where we're sitting at. Any other hardware sales? I don't know. Do I have anything? No, that's all I have written down. Oh, no, the Mario Brothers movie. As part of the shareholders meeting, Nintendo revealed that 168 million people have seen the Mario Brothers movie. Because because this was a shareholders meeting all about the money. And Nintendo's been making a lot of money this year. Between Tears of the Kingdom doing really well, and the Mario Brothers movie doing really well, Nintendo's making that bank. So yeah, that's Nintendo's sitting pretty at the moment. Of course, it's at moments like these that historically Nintendo fucks it all up. See the Wii U. See, I'm gonna say the N64. I guess I'll say the NES, or the SNES. The SNES is a great system, but Nintendo went from owning like 90% of the market share to having less than 50%. Because the NES did so well that when the Genesis came around, it just dominated. Not that the SNES isn't amazing. Right? The SNES is a fantastic system with tons of great games. One of the best Marios, one of the best Metroids, a pretty decent Zelda game. Oh, that pisses some people off when I say that. But yeah, so Nintendo's doing pretty well at the moment. Let's hope they don't rest on their laurels and they actually deliver a good product with the next system. I have hopes. I don't know. I'll probably be getting it regardless. Because I've said it before, the moment I give up on Nintendo is the moment I give up on video games. Like, that's it. If Nintendo fucks it, if Nintendo ruins everything, then that's it, I'm done. I'm out. And really, for Nintendo to fuck it up, they're going to have to start introducing microtransactions and loot boxes. And so far, Nintendo doesn't seem to be going that avenue. And that hasn't changed. And guess what? They're still making, even without that bullshit, literally putting gambling in kids' games. They're still doing insanely well. So, yeah. So, next up, Pokemon. Pokemon announced a Pokemon Presents. It will be on Tuesday the 8th. So, August 8th. And I will actually be able to react to it. Right? I've talked before about how I'm starting a new work schedule this month that has me going in later, but I get home later as well. And as a result of that, before I used to get home just in time for Nintendo Directs, right? I'd get off work, rush home, and Nintendo Directs would start like 5 minutes later. Now, I will definitely be missing Nintendo Directs, but I don't go in until after the Pokemon Presents. Because Pokemon Presents are always stupid early. This one's at like 6 a.m. Pacific time, and I don't go to work until 7 a.m. Pacific time. So, yay. So we will actually probably be watching this Nintendo Direct, or this Pokemon Presents live. I'll probably do that, then I'll head off to work. So yeah, no, I will actually be live reacting to this one. That's the first Pokemon Presents I've been able to react to in a long time. At least live, anyways. I don't know why they do them so fucking early, though. 6 a.m.? Like, what the hell is that? So we got a trailer for it, and it starts off, right, your standard Pokemon Presents, but then the screen, like, glitches, and it shows, like, the neon logo, but as it's glitching, it specifically highlights the letter M. So it highlights the letter M, and then the M, like, mirrors itself, so there's, like, 2 M's, and then, it fixes itself, and it goes back to normal. So there's been a lot of speculation. What does this M mean? Is it a new Mystery Dungeons? People would love a new Mystery Dungeons game. Is it something with Detective Pikachu? Because like the neon of the logo reminds me of the neon logo they used for the Detective Pikachu movie. Like, it's a very similar style. So that's been one speculation. I know one of the big speculations is it for Mewtwo or even Mew. Like, is this going to be a Pokemon Legends Mew game? And maybe instead of setting it in the past, what if they set it in the future, and they introduce Mew 3? It's possible. That seems to be, but most people seem to agree that it has something to do with either Mew or Mewtwo. Maybe even Mew versus Mewtwo. Which my one hope with that is that if they are going to do like a Mew versus Mewtwo, it'd be nice to actually be able to get a Mew in a Pokemon game. Or, you know, at least one that you don't have to spend $50 fucking dollars for. Because talk about that bullshit, right? But in, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, you had to spend $50 just to buy a Mew. That's fucking bullshit. I know Pokemon Go had a similar Mew event that was also bullshit and, like, insanely difficult and whatnot. And it's one of the, if I remember correctly, it's, like, one of the few ways you can actually get a shiny Mew. But whatever, it was stupid. It's Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go fucking sucks. And they're inevitably, during this conference, they're going to talk about Pokemon Go. They're going to talk about Pokemon Unite, that literal microtransaction, loot box, children gambling simulator. Because that's what Pokemon Unite is. It's child gambling simulator. Honestly, it's as bad as anything Activision Blizzard was doing. It's as bad as the loot boxes in Shadow of War. All of that stuff. And nobody calls them out on it because they're fucking Pokemon. Right? Death will be sold to us in fucking Hello Kitty colors. It's atrocious. What is that? What's the actual quote? We thought death would be dark and gray, but instead it came in pastel pinks. There's some quote that's like that. So, right, I expect all that bullshit to be there. It'd be really cool to get a Pokemon spin-off game. It would also be very cool, now that since we do have Game Boy and Game Boy Advance emulators, it would be cool if they announced Red and Blue coming to Nintendo Switch Online. You know, everyone I know would love that. That would be really awesome. Will they show that? I doubt it. I doubt we'll get Red and Blue or Gold and Silver. Ruby and Sapphire would be a great get as well. I'd actually rather have them do Ruby and Sapphire than go back and do Red and Blue and do Gold and Silver. I'd rather have them do Ruby Sapphire first, just because Ruby and Sapphire doesn't get enough love. I know it got the remakes a few years ago, but people hated those remakes, and then a few years passed and people decided they actually liked those remakes now, because Pokemon fans are forever fickle assholes who hate something in the moment, and then once time passes they realize it's not actually that bad. It happens to everything. Give it a few years, it'll happen to Scarlet and Violet. Mark my words. Because, yes, or Sword and Shield, I mean. People generally like Scarlet and Violet. It seems pretty positive. But no, give it a few years and people will warm up on Sword and Shield. And they'll be calling it one of the best Pokemon games. Just mark my fucking words. Probably Gen 10. It usually is 2 generations behind. And yes, I have seen people warming up on Sun and Moon. Yep. The one exception to that rule so far has been Gen 6. Really, for the most, right, I didn't really see people love Gen 6. I don't see as much hate for Gen 6 as I used to, but I don't see any, like, love for it. But I've seen love for, I remember when people turned on Gen 3, and they realized it was good. I remember when people realized Gen 4 was good. I remember when people realized Gen 5 was good, because people fucking hated Gen 5. Oh my god. It was a nightmare back in the day. And now people realize Gen 7's good. Just give it time. It always happens. But yeah, I don't think we're getting a Let's Go Johto game. I don't think we're getting a Legends Mew. I know we have Detective Pikachu, which is technically a spin-off. But, you know, I'd like something more prim and proper. And then, of course, the one thing we obviously know is going to be there, guaranteed, is the Scarlet and Violet DLC, the Teal Mask. We all know it's going to be there. There's been a lot of rumors speculating about, like, mask forms and Terrigen Mist and all this other bullshit. Yeah, you know, it'll happen when it happens. I am curious about what the Teal Mask is going to be. I liked the trailer. I think there are some interesting things there. I love all the new Pokemon. The Okidogi, the other 2 whose names I don't remember. I love that it's a Momotaro reference of all things. I love Ogerpon's design. The actual thing the Teal Mask gets its name from. I think that's a fantastic design. So I'm actually really excited for the Teal Mask. Now, when do I think it's coming out? I know right now it has a fall release date. And technically, we're still in summer. Right? August is a summer month. But I would not at all be surprised. I don't think it's going to be a shadow drop. But I would not at all be surprised if it wasn't like a week later. Because the other Scarlet and Violet DLC, the Indigo Disc or whatever it's called, is probably coming out in December. So I could see them being like, hey, we're going to release this DLC now, and then we'll release the other DLC in early December. Because right now, no game is coming out in the near vicinity to really compete with the Pokemon DLC. Right, like Tears of the Kingdom came out a while ago. Pikmin 4 came out a few weeks ago. So I really do think that, like, in like a week or two, is probably the best time to release it. They might hold off until September, that's totally possible. But I could see it happening right now. Legitimately. Like within the next week or two. It all depends on how they're going to do things. Because the other thing I do think is, I know there's a game coming out. Is there a game coming out in September? Mario is in August, or in October. I don't think Nintendo has a game coming out in September. So that might be, legitimately, that might be why they put it until September. But I do also predict the Splatoon DLC is coming out in December. Or in September, I mean. Because we know the Splatoon 2 DLC came a year after the game's initial release date. You know, in relative proximity. And I do fully expect a September Nintendo Direct. They've done one in September for the last few years. So I would not be surprised if, I don't know, the second Wednesday of September, hey, guess what? It's a Nintendo Direct. And as part of that Nintendo Direct, they announce, hey, the Pokemon DLC is available, or the Splatoon DLC is available today. That would not at all surprise me if that's something Nintendo does, because that's how they did the Splatoon DLC. They, at the Splatoon World Championships, it was either right before the final match or right after the final match, they were just like, hey guys, guess what? The Octo expansion is available right now. So I would not be surprised if they do. I know Nintendo's got their live showcase at, is it one of the PAXs or something? I would not be surprised if they do it at that either, or if the Nintendo Direct happens around that time period. So that is something to also keep in mind. So I could see Pokemon happening around then, but I do think it's going to happen sooner than the Splatoon thing. But I do definitely think the Splatoon DLC is coming in September. So yeah, I'm excited for Pokemon. You know, it's gonna be pretty cool. So the other thing, I didn't put it on here because I forgot, the Devolver showcase. So Devolver announced they're doing a Devolver Delayed Direct. So it's like the Pokemon Showcase is also 35 minutes. That is, I think, either the longest Pokemon Presents or the second longest Pokemon Presents. So they might have a lot to show. But, okay, so the Devolver Showcase is happening, I want to say sometime next week. And during it, they're talking about games that are being delayed. It's a 3-minute showcase about delayed games. So what do I think is being delayed? The Plucky Squire. I know the Plucky Squire is supposed to come out this year. It looks amazing. We keep seeing more and more of it. But out of everything, I think Plucky Squire and Gunbrella are the two games that are probably going to get delayed. I could see in just a 3-minute showcase them announcing that. Let's see, do I have the official tweet? Join us next week for Devolver Delayed, the first showcase celebrating games that are courageously moving into 2024, and it's August 7th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And yeah, it's 3 minutes long, so I fully... The Plucky Squire is one of those games that everyone's super excited for. I fully expect it to be delayed until 2024. That's 100% the expectation. But I guess transparency matters to me in the gaming industry. Again, I know a lot of people are mad that Metroid Prime 4 doesn't happen. But the fact that Nintendo came out and said, hey, guess what? We're restarting development, literally lets me forgive all of that. The fact that it's been like 5 years since they restarted development, I will always be okay with, because they were transparent with us. They were like, yeah, no, we're going to restart development. Like, if it had been like 7 or 8 years since then, and they just had said nothing, then yeah, I would be super annoyed. But transparency matters. So Devolver coming out here and being like, yeah, we're going to make a thing because these are games that need more time, and we want to make them perfect. I love that level of transparency. So yeah, I'm totally fine with that, no issues. And I'm sure we'll talk about it next week, but it's going to be the Plucky Squire. We all know it's going to be the Plucky Squire. Get ready to be disappointed. But I'm super excited for whatever that game's going to be. So I guess let's move on to WIBE. Alright, that's the end of WIBE. The new work schedule has just kept me busy. You know, things have changed around. Definitely. It definitely feels like now that I'm getting home like 2 hours later than I used to, it definitely feels like I have less time in the day. Like, getting up later is nice, but getting off work later is just like, oh my gosh, I feel like more of my day is just gone. Like, before I would have multiple hours where I could do stuff. Now I just have, I don't know, a few and then the sunset. And then it's like, the day's over, time to go to bed. I don't know, it's a feeling I'll have to get used to. Because this is the first time usually I try to get an earlier schedule. And the stars didn't align this month. So, yeah. So I was so excited for the Oracle games to come to Switch, and I just haven't touched them. I haven't touched the Oracle games. We haven't touched Pikmin. There is some, did Tears of the Kingdom come out on the 12th? There's a special video I want to do for Tears of the Kingdom that I definitely want to get out on, but I guess the game's 3-month anniversary. So I'm going to try to get that. I think the 12th is what, like next week? So I'm going to try to get that done by then. Because it should be a very simple edit. It's like a 2-minute video. But I just got to actually do it. I got to do the Pikmin 3 highlights as well. Because I know what I want to do with them. I just got to actually sit down and edit all... It's like 5.5 hours of gameplay. Which, again, that's not as long as Pikmin 2. And we're at like 20 hours in Pikmin 4. But definitely, again, sometime in the next like week or two, I'll get that out. I did really want to get it out this week, but it happens. And then... we will, Pikmin 4, we're going to finish Pikmin, hopefully tomorrow. I don't know, we'll see how it plays out, but I'm aiming for tomorrow. But have I been doing... See, everything that I would normally put in WIBE, we can't talk about because of the strike. So I guess let's talk about the strike real quick. One of the CEOs, I don't remember, I don't think it was Bob Iger, I don't think it was David Zaslav, but one of these CEOs in an investors meeting said, hey, guess what? We've actually saved over $100 million since the strike started. Because, because America's economy must overshadow its needs. Investors are the only ones that matter in business. So, of course, to save face to investors, that's what they have to tell them. Because it's technically not a lie. Because the studios technically save that money because they haven't been making any movies. That's why they can say that. Because that $100 million they would have, spent on movie productions. And so now they haven't. So it's technically true, but this is just them saving face to, even though the AMTP is supposedly coming back to the negotiating table. And what I mean by that is that they're going to have a meeting to talk about whether or not they should have a meeting. Like, that's literally what it is. Like, the AMTP is not coming back right now. No, they have to have a meeting about whether they're going to have a meeting. But no, this is just the fucking CEOs who make over $500 million trying to save face, being like, oh, we saved $100 million. Right? Because, yeah, the Hollywood has definitely already lost more money than the strike would have, than just giving the writers and the actors what they wanted would have cost them. They've already wasted that much. And it's only going to be a matter of time until it starts affecting the pockets of the shareholders, and then things will definitely change. Because the shareholders, right, the businesses exist to serve them. That's literally what the law says. So it's only a matter of time until they step in and tell the companies to get this shit figured out. Any other strike news that I can... Nothing off the top of my head. But, you know, just keep fighting the good fight. Yeah, I didn't play any video games. I didn't... Yeah, no. Did I read any books? No. I really need to read, so, there's one book I really need to read. Oh, you know, I did, read a manga. It's called, oh gosh, I'll pull up the name here in a second. It's something like the Shiro Gal and the Kuro Gal are... Is it in love, or... Is it... Maybe it's called Temptations of a Shiro Gal and a Kuro Gal. Yeah, Temptations of a Shiro Gal and a Kuro Gal. So it's basically, Temptations of a tan gal and a white gal. So it's a little 4-page manga, right? Each issue is 4 pages. And it's just this cute little comic about these 2 gals and an otaku. Right? So, you know, if you've ever seen anime, you know what a gal is. Like Jinx from Pokemon, because Jinx is based on gal culture. But, you know, it's, you know, how do I explain gals? They're basically Japanese people imitating American culture, usually black American culture, so there's a lot of, like, tanning in there and whatnot. It's a whole thing, and there are people who can infinitely explain it better than I can. Broken Daydream, on both TikTok and Twitch. Yeah, he can explain it infinitely better than I can. But, it's you know, it's a whole thing. We literally talked about a gal last week in, More Than a Married Couple, but Less Than Lovers. And also, Sherry's Love is 8 meters. Nope, don't care about your fun. But, so this Temptations of a Shiro Gal and a Kuro Gal so one of the gals, I'm gonna call them the white gal and the tan gal. The white gal is like, hey, otaku, let's go hang out. Right? Like, she goes up to the otaku, who's literally just called otaku. She goes up and is like, hey, you want to go see a movie with us? You want to go to karaoke with us? And the tan gal gets extremely jealous, because the tan gal is in love with the white gal. Right? She's in lesbians with her. And the otaku notices, right? He's aware that the tan gal is in love with the white gal. And so he intentionally is like, no, I don't want to go to karaoke. You two should go together. Just to set the 2 gals up on a date. Oh, look, we got a badge. And so that's basically, you know, the tan gal, so the tan gal has a crush on the white gal. And I think it's 36 issues of the otaku playing wingman for the tan gal to make sure they can go on dates together, they can hang out at movies, they can go shopping, they can get some time alone, and it's very cute. There's a post on Tumblr about, like, can I find it? It's called, like, Thor, the God of Lesbians, or something like that. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Thor, God Lesbians. Come on, give me what I'm looking for. Okay, so it's a Tumblr post that's tonight at the gym, a man who looked like fucking Thor asked me out, and when I told him I was a lesbian, he goes, "Oh, chill. You know, my sister and I worked out here a lot together. She'll be here tomorrow, same time." What does this last say? Thor, something about Thor is my wingman. Like, did Thor just wingman me? And that's how I feel about this otaku in this show. He's just wingmanning for the tan gal, right? When a potential romantic rival comes up, he's in the way to stop them. And he's constantly, like, throwing himself under the bus to make sure these two can hang out together. Like, at one point, because the tan, up to this, right, for most of it, the white gal expresses, like, no real romantic interest in the tan gal. Like, she doesn't say, like, I love you or anything like that. It's all coming, because it's all told from mostly the tan gal's perspective. So we don't actually know what the white gal is thinking. But you have these moments, right, where it's like, oh, they're going to get busted by, like, the school monitor or the gym teacher. So the otaku jumps in the way so that he gets in trouble, and so that way the tan gal and the white gal can go hang out together. And it's just really cute. They get little couple nicknames. Again, it's all short. Most issues are 4 pages. I want to say there was like 1 or 2 that was like 6 pages. But for the most part, it's just a real short little romance manga that I just loved. I enjoyed it so much. It's so cute. It's so fun. And so, yeah, I highly recommend it. Because, yeah, I'm rooting for the tan gal the entire time. Miyataku's just such a great little wingman. And, yeah, it's only 36... It has finished publishing. I know there's a... I know when it comes to modern-day anime or manga recommendations, it's a lot of shows that are like, nope, we're only, like... At least that's a problem I come across, is it's like, hey, you should check out this manga. Oh, we've only released, like, the first, like, 4 chapters. No, this one has all 36 chapters published. It is officially done. Ah, gosh dang it. So, yeah, I do highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. But, that's all I've been reading. I have not watched any anime. Not that I can think of, anyways. Well, okay, I am working on one, but it's got, like... It's got... Not 30-ish. It's not 30 episodes. It's... maybe it is 30. Maybe it's 2 seasons. The first season's 24 episodes, and the second season is 6. So I'm in the middle of working on that right now. I'm sure we'll talk about it next week. But, anything else? Nothing I can really think of. I've been watching a lot of this, a YouTuber named Khan. Because, okay, so I found that... So one day in my YouTube recommendations, I got recommended a guy named Dapper playing a game called Spy Party with another guy named Khan. I love Spy Party. I love that asymmetrical multiplayer game. I think Spy Party's really interesting. I am awful at it. But I think it's a really interesting game to play, and I think it's a really, really interesting game to watch. So I watched this guy this guy named Dapper play a bunch of the games, and he was playing with a guy named Khan. And then so I watched all of Dapper's perspective, and then I watched all of Khan's perspective. This was like 2 months ago now. And so then I was like, oh, let's go see what other types of videos they make. And I didn't really watch much from Dapper. Maybe like a few like car videos. But from Khan, he's got like an 800 episode series in a game called Scrap Mechanic. And he's putting out like daily videos. But the one thing that piqued my interest was hide and seek. So they've been playing hide and seek in Scrap Mechanic. And you know, people like make these little levels where there's like, hey, there's like these buttons that you can find that are hidden away. And you can use them to like make little like secret rooms and secret passages. And you can have secret passages and secret passages. And, you know, there's been, like someone recreated one of the levels from GoldenEye. Someone recreated the starting area of Pokemon. I think there was, like, a Mushroom Kingdom one. There's a few others. But it's Khan, Scrapman, and Moonbow. And there's usually a few other people as well. Or every once in a while somebody else shows up. And, yeah, it's just them playing hide and seek on a bunch of different levels. Some of them are very simple. Like, there was a tiny town at one point where they were all, like, giants. And then, like, one of the more recent ones is just this fucking insane, like, complex with, like, different colored rooms. And it's just crazy. But I've been watching a bunch of, for a while now. I've been watching all these hide and seek videos. Not much else, mostly just these hide and seek ones. And I'm pretty sure I've watched them all. Because I think they do, like, a multiplayer Monday where they do hide and seek. But they're all super entertaining. The hide and seek was a lot of fun to watch. You know, you get... Because I think I've talked about my love for Mario Odyssey hide and seek. And how great I think it is. And I wish Nintendo would put it in the sequel. They won't, obviously. But it'd be really cool if they did. But I think one of the reasons why hide and seek works so well in, like, YouTube videos... is because it's a game you're meant to lose, right? If you play it long, right, hide and seek is not meant to last forever. It's just to see like, oh, if we're in the same location, who can find everyone else the quickest, or who can last the longest. It's a game that's designed to be lost, and I think there's fun in that, right? There's fun in a game like that, especially when they do, like, hints. Mario Odyssey has a great way of doing hints, where they're like, oh yeah, I'm in the top or the bottom half of the map. They eventually basically give hint art. I kind of wish they would do something like that in the scrap mechanic thing, where it'd be like, oh, I'm at the top or the bottom half of the map. I wish they would just, like, have it, like, more timed up. Because it's like sometime, right, they usually do, like, spud gun hints, where it's like you'll shoot a spud gun to make a sound. Sometimes they do it at, like, every 2 minutes, sometimes they do it every 3 minutes. There's no real consistency. It definitely gets better as the series goes on, like, they figure it out better. They eventually realize that, like, after 10 minutes, they should start giving verbal hints. And, like, I think the longest round I've ever seen was, like, 15 minutes. Like, it's never, or like, single round. It's never gone insanely long. But it's, you know, I think it's a very, very entertaining series. I definitely recommend it. I wish there was a playlist on YouTube that just had the hide and seek videos in it, but instead you have to sort through the other 800 scrap mechanic videos. But there are some other good stuff in there. Like, there's a lot of, like, mazes where they use the features of scrap mechanics to design, like, mazes, and there's usually, like, little tricks and japes in there. They do escape rooms, and it's all, like, these people, like, building them. Like, Khan is a very... he might be, like, an electrical engineer or, like, he's some sort of engineer, like a robotics engineer, because he does some very interesting things. And I do think there is something very interesting about seeing someone who's really good at their craft using that to explain it in video games. There's a channel called Real Civil Engineer that does, like, Polybridge and whatnot, plays games like that, but using, you know, his real-life civil engineering degree to explain how, like, how to make, like, good bridge design and everything. It's kind of like, there's that one guy who made, like, a 4chan... who made a 4chan post once about where he was like, oh, I just got out of prison. I've been there for like 20 years because I robbed a bank. What do I do with my life? And someone was like, I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to do. You're going to create a YouTube channel where you play games like GTA and Payday, and you're going to make videos being like, hey, I was a real bank robber. How does this fake bank robbery in the video game compare to my real life bank robbery? And then I guess he actually did that. Like, that's a YouTube channel that actually exists. Like, that sounds super interesting, right? So I love shit like that. And yeah, these two are Khan and, right, Real Civil Engineer. They're super entertaining. I definitely recommend them. Same thing with Dapper and Moonbow and Scrapman. All just really entertaining stuff. Alright, so we're going to do some Amiibo here in a second. Let me go grab them. I want to remember to I gotta remember to turn on the light, or to turn back on the microphone this time, because last time we did this I completely forgot. Yeah, here we are, me drinking my Wendy's lemonade. I've been on a lemonade kick recently. Oh my gosh. I watched that, going off topic here for a second, I watched that video, Eric came up again in my playlist, I'd seen it before, but of the Two Bears podcast, where it's, Brett and Ted, and he just talks about how he drinks a gallon of Kool-Aid a day, and it's so fucking funny. If you've never seen that, it's one of those great clips, like, the Bill Burr clip of him talking about Cherry's Berries, where it's just like, these guys just, they're saying the funniest fucking things, and they know it, and they're just laughing their asses off. Right? That Bill Burr clip gets me every time. And this one's also pretty, this Kool-Aid clip is great. You can find it on YouTube. Just look up gallon of Kool-Aid a day. But it got me thinking, like, is that actually unhealthy for you? Like, I know if you're, like, making Kool-Aid the proper way, you're gonna use a gallon of sugar. Obviously. Because that's the proper way to do things. For every 1 gallon of water, you put in 1 gallon of sugar. Obviously. That's the correct way. Basically the opposite of how my father made it, where he put in, like, 2 teaspoons. Funny. But, I was thinking about that, but, like, he's not doing that. When he's making, like, this 64-ounce jug of Kool-Aid, he's just putting in the packet. It's a 0 sugar packet. It's probably really watered down. But is that actually unhealthy for you? Because it's just 64 ounces of water with a little flavoring in it. There's no extra, right? Especially if it's like a 0 sugar. And from what it looks like, he's not putting any sugar in it. So is that actually bad for you? I know it's got, right, it's red flavor, and I'm pretty sure red Kool-Aid has red 40 in it. That sounds, I would not be surprised if I'd be surprised if it didn't. I think they're finally making red 40 illegal here in the US, but regardless of that, I was thinking, like, is it just, you know, it's because it's basically just water with a little flavoring. Is that actually unhealthy for you? Does that little amount of red 40, and I'm sure it has as much, you know how, like, Tic Tacs can say they're sugar-free because they contain less than a gram of sugar? I'm sure the Kool-Aid packet has, like, less than a gram of sugar in it, so they can claim it's sugar-free or whatever. But, you know, is that actually bad? Like, is a single Tic Tac actually bad for you? I don't think so, and I don't think the gallon of Kool-Aid is bad for you either. But I don't know. It's something that I would love to look into, but I'm sure it's impossible to find any actual real information on it, because anybody talking about it is just probably going to talk about the proper way to make Kool-Aid, which is, you know, 1 part water, 1 part sugar. So, Amiibos. So, last time we did Amiibos, we opened up Skyward Sword Link, and this was like 2 weeks ago. And when I ordered this came in as the same day as the Pyra and Mythra Amiibo were supposed to. And it was supposed to come in, and then for some reason it just didn't. And then I was like, oh, you know, okay, Best Buy just fucked up. They'll get it to me next week. Next week came and went, nothing. And I was like, oh, they're just never going to get it to me. Then this morning, I went to look up something at Best Buy. Like, I was completely unrelated. I was like, oh, I'm going to look up something real quick. And when I did, I saw, hey, guess what? My order is ready for pickup. They never sent me an email or anything. They never even gave me, like, a push notification on my phone. It was just, hey, guess what? You can go pick up your order now. So we have the 2 ladies, the Pyras and the Mythras. I'm surprised. I don't know if I mentioned this. It was surprised when the Skyward Sword Link had the Wii U on the back of the box. I'm surprised this has the 3DS on the back of the box. It's been 7 years, guys. You didn't need to put that there. You can just say Switch. So that surprised me. But these are some really nice looking figures. I mean, for the size and the price, I think these were like $30. So it's basically $15 each. This is pretty good quality. And that's what I love about Amiibos. I know they went up in price at one point. They used to be $12, now they're like 15 to 16. But when the price went up, the quality also went up. Like, I know you can buy, I think it's like first 4 figures or whatever. You can buy a Pyra and Mythra figure for like $100, and it's like also pretty good quality. But for something cheap and affordable, this is not bad at all. It's not broken either. I've heard a lot of people, the Mythra sword has been broken. Nope, these are perfectly fine. I got lucky, I guess. So yeah, that's... I really do like Amiibos. Because, like, these... like, I know Pyra and Mythra do get merch. But not every character is going to get merch. And Amiibos give characters who don't normally get it merch. They give you something cheap, affordable. Usually they sell out really fast, and that sucks. But like I said, there's a big restock coming up soon. So yeah, these are really cool. Because I like Pyra and Mythra. I don't play them in Smash Bros. For myriad of reasons, but they're pretty cool. I should play Pyra and Mythra more. I don't know. I know if I switch over to Pyra and Mythra, that'll just make me look like a tryhard. Because they're, you know, an S-tier character, and they're played by a lot of tryhards. So yeah. But I do like them. I need to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Or at least beat it, because I never have. It always happens. Oh, okay, opposite direction. Yeah, they're really cool. They've got a lot of detail to them. They look really nice. And in theory, you can... I know one of the other things about later Amiibo, they got rid of the little metal thing at the bottom. So in theory, I could have kept them in the box, but nah. The rest of my collection's out of box. These might as well be as well. I don't... God, I barely have the room for everything I have. There's a reason the Skyward Sword Link is still sitting on my desk. Did we ever even use it in Tears of the Kingdom? We might have. No, we definitely did at least once. I think in the final episode. Okay, ready to have camera issues? Look at that. If I could get my face out of the way. Because that's what it's focusing on. It's focusing on my face. But I really have no way to do that. It's a really nice looking figure, I'll say that. It's got a lot of detail there. It looks great. And then Mythra, so they use the Smash Bros. Mythra design. So there's no boob window, it's covered up. If it ever focuses. See, this is where having an autofocus would be, like, nice to turn off. But as far as I know, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't. Scaling, aspect ratio. Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, so it is the Smash Bros. Design of Mythra. And honestly, can I be honest? I like the Smash Bros. Design of Mythra better than the original. There's something... I do think that putting on the tights, covering up the boob window, just looks better. God, it always focuses on my face. It doesn't want to. It fucking... I don't even know why I do this shit, because it never focuses. I always have issues. But they look very nice. They're really well made. I know the light's also fucking with it as well, with Mythra. But they do look very nice. The sword looks good. But yeah, no, I think the Smash Bros. Design of Mythra is better than the default design. And I know they added the Smash Bros. Design to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, not because they they realized it, but there's just something about it that I think looks better. Covering up more. It just makes it look more interesting. So these are great. These are two great, well-designed figures that any weeb's gonna love. And yeah, they'll make perfect additions to my collection. I'm glad they're not broken. I've only ever broken a single amiibo. I'm jinxing myself, I know. But yeah, I broke it, and you'd probably need to actually do a proper inspection to even tell. If you just looked at it, you wouldn't be able to tell. I'll tell you, it was a sword fighter. Not this one, obviously, but it was one. It was someone with a sword. Yeah, that's Amiibo. Throw that back there. Yeah, alright, let's get back to it. Oops, there we go. So yeah, that's Pyra and Mythra. Really, really cool designs. I still wish we had gotten the female Byleth. They gave us Steve and Alex. I wish we had gotten female Byleth. That would have been a cool one. Alright, so let's check out a few things. Maybe pick a Splatoon team, and then we'll end off. Yeah, so with that, the only Smash Bros. Amiibos left is Sora. Which I don't even know if it's going to exist. And then the only other ones I can think... I'm sure they'll do the Splatoon idols. Right? They did the Splatoon 2 idols. I'm sure they'll do the Splatoon 3 idols. And yeah, and then we have Zelda and Ganondorf. I don't know. I thought Amiibos were going to die a long time ago. And then Nintendo just kept making them. And I kept buying them. So, I guess it's my fault. Stand up. Oh, we got another big man. Yeah, so... what's coming up in the next week? Again, Pikmin 4, probably tomorrow. So it's capitalism, showmanship, or love. Well, with enough money, you can get the other two. I know that's coming from me of all things, but yeah, with enough money and nepotism, you can get the other two pretty easily. Okay, maybe this one might not be that great, but that'll be fine. Oh my god, all the celebrity drama this week. Oh my fucking god. And even even just YouTuber drama. Between the Super Mega stuff and Fiznom. Oh my god. We literally talked about Fiznom last week. So yeah. I'm gonna be cheap, I'm gonna say money. Why not? It's the boring option, but I think I'd rather pick money just to be interesting. Capitalism. I'll turn into the evil version of myself, Wadio, and I'll just be capitalism. I mean, that's Wario. Oh my god. So yeah, we'll be back next week, of course, with the Splatfest and all that jazz. Oh, the map's updated. Yeah, because we started at a weird time. So we'll be back next week with that. We'll be back tomorrow with Pikmin. Other than that, I don't really have anything else. We're definitely finishing Pikmin tomorrow. Definitely doing that. Other than that, I don't have anything planned. I know I've always said we're going to do the Stanley Parable. I don't know when we're actually going to get to the Stanley Parable. That'll happen, but I don't know when. In chats, again, I like it better as a Friday show. I think that's more interesting. At least for the moment with my current schedule. If my schedule changes and I can tell you it's not going to change in September. That's for damn sure. Because of how my bids work. But yeah, no, if it does change, then, you know, maybe we'll go back to Saturday. But for the moment, I'm happy with it being on Fridays. Let's see here. So if the Pokemon DLC comes out, we will definitely do the Pokemon DLC. Like, that is for sure something I plan to do. I just, again, if it comes out this month, we'll do it this month. If it comes out next month, we'll do it next month. And it'll probably take us a while to get through. Other than that, I said before, we're not doing Starfield. I'm definitely playing that off stream. And then in October, I guess we're starting... I'm going to try to do Spider-Man. You know, hopefully it'll all work out. But we'll see. We shall see. Kenny. Oh. I wonder if there's... What's the one girl from My Hero Academia who's all about making money? Oh, what is that? I don't know. I'm definitely thinking of something. I don't know. There's so many references and places you can go with that. I should have picked Love for Lesbians. Oh, that would have been funny. Because I just saw that one down there. Yeah. So yeah. We'll be back next week for Splatoon, Splatfest. We'll be back with Pikmin. I'm excited to play more Pikmin. It's been a great game so far. Love it. Go buy Pikmin. Right? It may be selling better than 1, 2, and 3 combined, but we got to keep those numbers going up. It's like the economy. Number go brrr. I reference that so much. The number go brrr. I don't know. And yes, Splatoon DLC will happen eventually as well. And we will definitely stream that as well. It just depends on when it happens. So, until then, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time. Peace.